What's going on, everybody? This is podcast number 27. It is a new year and a new us, and we've got a surprise this week. We're going to change the... David, dude, you're running it here. So the surprise is David's going to step in front of the camera. We're going to move more towards a weekly podcast covering the latest headlines of the week, things that we actually care about or want to talk about, since it's kind of our deal and we can do whatever we want. And we're going to try to do a lot more live stuff. Try with YouTube Live, maybe some Facebook Live stuff. I think we'll probably do a live one next week because we do have a little bit of an issue with getting somebody to sit behind the camera and film us. So it makes it a lot easier to do the live ones on the cell phone.
Just waiting for Amazon to go and sell with their selfie sticks.
Yeah, we need something. Surely, I probably should do more research behind this stuff, but I would say that Sony probably makes something that you can actually use it as a remote. So I'll have to check into that. And most importantly, we're going to start putting our old library onto SoundCloud and our new stuff onto SoundCloud as well. I researched a lot of different stuff over the last week, and SoundCloud seems to be the easiest format to transition to. So I think that we'll give that a go. So, David, it's weird to having you over here. It feels
On this side, yeah.
Yeah, it feels new. So how's everything been going? How was your first week of 2019?
It was actually great, yeah. So, I didn't really do anything for New Year's. Did you do anything?
No, I'm too old.
Did you say you worked on New Year's Day?
I worked New Year's Day, yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I get the time I work plus the holiday pay, so
Yeah.
that worked out well for me. So can't really complain. I have a lot of addictions to start the new year that I think I'm gonna have to combat. I'm addicted to The Office. I just started watching it, towards the end of the year, transitioning this year. I can't stop watching it. It's driving my family crazy. But I never watched it back in the day, and always heard people talk about it, and I tried to get into it a couple times and just never could. And
So this is the first time you're watching it all the way through?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I'm addicted.
Yeah.
And also, I can't stop playing DraftKings, and I suck so bad at it. I'm terrible at NBA.
I made a lot of money on the ball game on New Year's Day.
On DraftKings?
Citrus Bowl game.
Or betting,
yeah,
betting.
Yeah.
I don't think you're allowed to say that.
Yeah.
We haven't legalized gambling, which we said could help take care of Kentucky's financial problems, but nobody listens to us. So, yeah. So, anything else new going on?
Nothing else new going on, but I kind of got the same kind of addiction, but mine's with King of the Hill. Because they put all the episodes on Hulu.
Damn it.
Yeah. And I've the past 2 weeks, I think I went through all of them.
Oh, really?
Megan and I were
How many
sitting there, and
seasons
she was
is there?
like, there's 9 seasons, I think.
Oh, my Lord. How many episodes per season?
It's probably 20.
Dude, how'd you do that?
I don't know.
That doesn't even seem
But
possible.
maybe I skipped
They're
over
only
some I'd seen a bunch of times.
They're only at 15, 16 minutes long, right?
Oh, they're at 22 minutes.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to lie. But I don't know if you can hear it through the microphone, but the weather that we've been having is just absolutely awful.
It's been nonstop, too.
Not because it's cold. I mean, it's literally thundering 10 minutes ago, so it's just nasty rain. I went to take the trash out, and I sunk 3 feet. I had to get the porch cat that is living on the chairs. I had to get him over there and actually pull myself out like quicksand. It was crazy, but yeah, I wish it would quit raining. But then you kind of got to decide: would you rather it be raining or snowing?
Or or really, really cold.
Yeah, but at
Which
least
is coming.
I don't know. They keep
Hope
saying
not.
winter's coming, but I don't know. I think we moved to England and we didn't know it. You said there was only 90 days of sunshine last year.
Yeah, it's the wettest year on record. By
Yeah,
far.
I knew that. Yeah. And we're well on our way in 2019 apparently. So.
Which I don't mind the overcast in the summer. It's good fishing weather, but I haven't seen the sunshine in a long time.
Selfishly, I want to.
Was it the Friday before Christmas? I think it was the sun came out for 10 minutes, I think.
It's supposed to be sunny this weekend, but I don't know.
Yeah, Sunday, but it'll probably be too windy to move or something.
Is it going to be windy?
I don't know.
You're probably right. It's 2% chance of rain. And
well, the
60
week before
degrees
last, it
sunshine.
was 60 degrees, and it was extremely windy. Well, that was last week.
Yeah, they all run together.
Yeah.
They all run together. So, we're going to do some new stuff, and one of the things that I would like to do is for us to trade off on doing a rant every week. And this is actually something near and dear to my heart that happened to me just today. And I'm just wondering if there's some type of psychological issue with people that come in last to a business. I know that when I worked fast food, the last customer always came in with a couple minutes. They're always rude. They didn't want to work with you. They didn't, you might, when I was working at Popeyes, you might have 10 pieces of chicken up and they come in and order a 30 piece with 5 minutes before it goes. And then you tell them it's going to be a 7-minute wait and they act like you just, kicked a puppy or something.
Yeah, especially after you turn the fryers off and everything. You got to turn it back on, wait for them to warm up.
The way we always did it, you had to like clean out the vats where the grease was. And so we would always leave one, and then we would try to get it done as fast as possible because that means that we get to get out earlier. But, if you have to start that whole process over again by dropping more chicken, it's not a good thing. So do you think it's something psychological that last customer that comes in there, it's like ingrained to them to just be an ass? I mean, is that something that, am I crazy thinking
My
that?
guess is like they're running late. And that's why they're late, or something happened. That's why they're late.
What about if it's a scheduled appointment and they always pick the last scheduled appointment? I mean, it seems to be the same. The attitude with that customer and the attitude of the customer that comes in last second of the fast food or whatever it may be, it seems to be they're the same type of person. They just they're hard to deal with. They don't want to listen to anything. They don't want to work with you. And, I've got all this bro science that I do on a daily basis thinking about people's psychological welfare. And I just thought about that today. And I wonder if other people have noticed that too, or if I'm the only one.
Well, you're not the only one. And I mean, also, too, I think maybe when the person's the last person, you kind of give off like an attitude of being like, man, where are you coming in now? And then that kind of like gives like the vibes to that person, and then probably maybe they feed off that too.
Well, with me today, it was a scheduled appointment, so it's not something that I'm like down about. Maybe I'm beat down a little bit because I've had several people ahead of them and a full day's worth of work, but they're the last person standing between me and getting to go home, so I'm kind of happy to serve them, get them done, and then get them through the door. But just the interaction that I had today, there was no talking to this particular person, and people were gathered around and listening. I was like, thank God there's witnesses to see this, so that people won't think I'm making it up.
I was on the other side of this. Like, I was one of the customers, not on purpose. Like, it was like 7:30 on a Saturday, and it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Went to the sushi place here in town. It's like, I go there a lot, and so I mean,
are we talking about the one that has the drive-thru or the other one?
No.
Okay.
The one by the movies.
Okay. I didn't want to name any names.
So I go there, and it's like 7:30, like I said, and the lady's like rushing us, and I drink one beer and then get some sushi, and by this time it's like 7:45. Most restaurants don't close till a little bit later, so I mean I didn't come in there like.
So they close at 8?
No, they don't close at 8. I don't know what. Maybe they were just dead that day, and they're like, well, we're gonna go ahead and close up early. So like the lady hands us a check, and then I'm like, well, actually, can I get another beer? And then she's like. And takes the check, and I was supposed to meet someone there, and then he calls me like right then, and I'm like, well, I don't think it's a good idea to come up here because she's like trying to get us out of here. So I mean, I don't know, and like I haven't been back there since, so it kind of put me off from that, but it's a little bit different.
That's completely different. That's apples and oranges. It sounds like you're on the other side of the person that's ready to kind of push things. So I don't understand it. I just wish people would be courteous, especially on Friday. I mean, it's the last day of the week. You never know what people have been through. I know if I was in that position, I would be, nice, courteous, not hard to get along with. I would tell the truth, which seems to be very difficult for a lot of customers. Yeah. And it's just one of those things that it was very frustrating, and I couldn't wait to get home. And, of course, on the way home, there's a wreck, so it makes me even later. And then I have to rush and have a mad scramble to get all this Christmas stuff the heck out here and get the podcast set up. But anyways, that's my rant for the week. I won't go anymore. But
do you remember working at a fast food place and you're in the drive-thru and it's like you turn off the light and then like someone just like all the lights are turned off and they're still like pulled around waiting for someone to answer the speaker?
Yes. Yeah.
Like that's another thing. Like all the lights are off. They're not going to open back up for you. So
I actually was that customer. A little bit earlier though, is because it was.
You there?
I was working New Year's Day. I of course didn't prepare well enough. I didn't have any food in my car. I was starving to death. It was like almost 11, like between 10:30 and 11, and I just wanted to go somewhere, get a quick lunch because I needed to leave town to go to the next area that I had to go to. And he's like, actually, we're not open till 11. So I was kind of on the other side of it. I was like, oh, okay, but all your lights were on, so I guess we're both like just courteous customers.
Worked at Arby's when I was in high school, and like I was 16 years old, and it was Christmas, and like, all right, it's 4:00, close the door. So I like locked the door, and some lady like ran up from her car, like tried to get in the lobby, and was like banging on their door or whatever, and I opened the door and just told them we were closed. And that was the first time I ever got cussed out by somebody. Like,
first of many.
Yeah, first of many.
Yeah, I got cussed out today.
Yeah.
So it's bad enough taking it as a 16-year-old or whatever, 20-year-old, you kind of feel like you might deserve it, but as, almost 32-year-old person and you're being cussed out by another grown person for the ridiculousness that they're telling, I mean, it's just kind of hard to swallow, but I guess that's part of life, huh?
Yeah.
What is it? The Office quote, they say, sometimes it feels like we're working in our own coffin. That's what I feel like a lot at work. So, we don't really talk a lot about politics on here, but I thought maybe we could do like a 30 seconds of politics since the government has a shutdown. So maybe turn it over to you for 15 seconds of what you think.
Me for 15 seconds about the shutdown?
Yeah.
All right, go. The border wall, it's a dumb idea. People are going to get around it either way. I thought Mexico was supposed to pay for it. Why don't you just go ahead and send the bill to Mexico and then, tell the banks that Mexico's going to pick up the tab later and go ahead and start building. People don't have any money, and our government workers, they can't, go forever without getting paid.
I should have timed that because I'm not sure if that was 15 seconds or not. The only thing I have to say is that you look around and you're like, oh, the government's been shut down for 2 weeks and nothing's exploded and nothing's ended. Maybe we don't need these vampires, these people that are lifelong politicians that go in poor and come out millionaires. Maybe we possibly don't need them. I mean, it's not a Republican, it's not a Democrat party. You look at both sides, neither one of them ever passed anything that has any significance in the last, I don't even know how many years. Maybe we need to reevaluate our systems here and get rid of some of those people. But that's my little 15 seconds on it. Transitioning from that, I'd like to give everybody an update. As far as both of us know, to the best of our knowledge, Billy is still alive and well. He did not contract hepatitis A, which he was concerned about on the last one, but it continues to be an issue. And I don't understand why people can't wash their hands. Like, it's 2019, it's 2019, and people can't wash their hands. I just saw today that 143 people have been vaccinated in Tennessee for hepatitis A because of an Outback Steakhouse issue. I mean, is it mind-blowing to you, or is it?
Yeah, it's crazy. I didn't know that. I know here no one's yet to get it from a restaurant. It's more been like, practices beyond that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
the lady
lifestyle choices.
The lady just passed away like last week or week before from hepatitis A, and I don't think they really know where she contracted it, but she was an older lady in really good health and just nosedive health-wise, and that they discovered that she had hepatitis A. So it went down pretty quick for her. So I don't know if she got it from a restaurant or not, but it's scary that it can happen that fast. And something so simple, just wash your hands, wear gloves. Jesus, I don't understand it. That's one problem I never had when we talk about working in fast food. I never wanted to touch people's food, and be dirty about it, or not wash my hands, or spit in people's foods, or alter. I never did any of that stuff. So
there are people though, like, that don't ever change their gloves very often, because I've worked in those places. That's true. Also pretty nasty.
That's very true. Didn't think about that.
Yeah, so I mean, it always grossed me out. When I worked at the deli, I always changed my gloves in front of the people too. So I mean, like,
oh, that's smart.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't want them to be like, change your gloves.
I've worked at a couple of places that I wash my clothes and they still smell the same as they did before I washed them, because there's certain places that you work that smell just like weeds
like
into
the food
fibers.
Smell?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's the worst.
Yeah, when I worked at Sonic, I had like a stack of shirts. Like, they gave us all these different shirts for the different slushies. I remember finding it like maybe a year or two later after I was no longer working there, and I opened it. Still smelled exactly the same. It's just like it's just caught every fiber of those t-shirts. It's ridiculous.
It took me like, after I left Kroger, because I fried chicken there, it took me like 2 months after to get the fried chicken smell out of my skin and out of my hair. I feel like I probably always like walked around smelling like a fryer. So.
So kind of transitioning out of the more serious topics or whatever. Recently, Kentucky won their bowl appearance. I think it was their first 10-win season since like the 20s or something
a long time
ridiculous.
ago, yeah.
So I'll let you speak on that since I'm not a big college football fan or anything like that. Do you think it's kind of them turning the, I guess, whatever tide that they had, the negative tide? Into
I'm not
positive?
sure. Their defense and Benny Snell, like, their defense pretty much carried them. Like, it cleaned up a lot of messes they made on offense. I think their quarterback, Terry Wilson, he only had, like, 9 completions, I think, the whole game. And maybe, like, just over 100 yards, maybe. I'm maybe wrong about that. Maybe a little bit less. But, their offense was so one-dimensional, they just hand the ball to Benny Snell. And that's, for some reason, it worked this year. You never really see a team where that works, where their defense was so good that it did. I mean, their defense was fantastic. And Penn State is a pretty, big-name school. The spread, Penn State was favored to win by like 8 or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I didn't watch any Big Ten schools this year and think, wow, that team should be national championship team. Ohio State maybe was pretty decent, but that's it.
Yeah.
Michigan sucked. Michigan got blown out by Florida. I mean, Kentucky, beat Penn State pretty easy, even though I thought Penn State was going to come back in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. I actually was watching a little bit of it while I was at the gym. That seems to be the only time I get to watch sports now is when I'm at the gym in between sets or whatever. So yeah, I think it's a good thing. I hope that they're able to continue it. I hope that they're able to keep their coaching staff intact and maybe spread a little positivity through the football program.
They don't really have like top recruiting classes coming in ever, but it's still better than it was.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I mean, like 30-something class. I mean, but it's just amazing what they can do with just that.
Yeah.
To hear they're just like a couple possessions away from even being like 11, 12 wins. I mean.
Yeah, I think it's definitely mindset. I think that they don't see themselves as like a little brother anymore in the SEC, and I think that goes a long way. And once you start that mindset and you change it, it becomes addictive, and people see that, and kids that may be local that want to go other places are now going to come here, and it's going to be a bigger deal.
Yeah, because we lose out local guys all the time to bigger schools, but why wouldn't you?
Right.
Like a guy from Madison County.
Yeah.
Goes to Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, who would blame you for doing that?
Yeah.
But I'm glad they got Benny Snell.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You said that you would rather have Benny Snell
than Damian Harris. Yeah.
So, yeah, but I would still like to see it become a pride thing more than anything. Alabama may be a better opportunity. You may have a better opportunity to win a national championship, but if you could bring a national championship to Kentucky, you're doing something that transcends everything else.
I don't know if I ever would imagine Kentucky winning 10 games in a season. Like, even like the year before last, I wouldn't. Last year, I mean, maybe their quarterback was last year's a lot better than their quarterback this year.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm glad that it's kind of made the turn, and I hope that they can continue the momentum because I think it's a little bit more fun. It obviously brings a lot more money into the.
Plus, I'm like always like every year, all my football teams I watch, they all suck, and this year it's kind of like. Winning games like the Browns. I mean,
maybe it's a sign. Maybe that's why the weather's changing. It's probably about to be another ice age. And that's why the Browns are good and UK's good and stuff like that. If the Reds win the World Series, we're in trouble.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
So other sports headlines that caught my eye this week, the return of Hulk Hogan to WWE. I saw that he was on a hiatus that they imposed by him because he used some racial slurs in a video, and they're going to bring him back to celebrate the life of Mean Gene Okerlund, who just passed away. So for our generation, that's pretty cool. I'm not sure it actually translates to the new generation. We talked a little bit about WWE in the last podcast, and I really feel like that they've kind of moved on from the platform that they had before, with it being like on cable and the pay-per-view system. Now it's all digital and stuff like that. So it's obviously, you told me it was bigger before internationally, and I think that the kids coming into it are obviously a bigger thing. It's like the PG era now.
The TV ratings are still going down, but that's a correlation, you think, with cable, like we talked about before?
I just think it's because people our age don't care anymore. and I don't know that we're all digital yet. I mean, I have a lot of apps. I watch a lot of Amazon Prime, watch a lot of Netflix. I even have my outdoor TV, but I haven't really went to like Fight Pass or I had the WWE Network for a little bit whenever it first came out, just because you got WrestleMania free. And
yeah, I thought about getting it this year.
I just tried it out and didn't stay with it. I left. It didn't seem like it was worth it to me. So I think that's what it speaks more to. And I think that if your product is good enough, it's gonna transcend platform. So I think the ratings would be a lot better if it spoke to the 18 to 35 or whatever the metrics is that they actually go by. So.
Were you a big Hogan guy when you were younger?
Mm-mm.
I wasn't either.
Never was.
I guess that's maybe a little bit before us.
No, I never was. But
maybe guys like 5 or 10 years older than us probably pretty big.
I learned how to appreciate it now. I never was a big Ric Flair guy. And then actually when I went to a pay-per-view and saw him live, you understood at that point. So I learned to appreciate those guys a lot more. I always liked WCW over WWF or WWE, however you want to say it. I always gravitated more towards WCW, especially during the Monday Night Wars. But never really was a big Hogan guy. Sting was always my favorite wrestler from WCW, and of course Sting and Hogan had the great feuds. And now you look back on them and you can appreciate them for sure. But I just think that everybody makes mistakes, and obviously his was a pretty negative one. And hopefully he can make a transition to a little bit more mainstream ideology and not so much the old school way of thinking.
He had a bad stretch a few years there.
He had a bad stretch
when his wife left him for the kid and stuff, and then the whole sex tape stuff.
And then his son was involved in that accident that paralyzed that kid.
Or something. Yeah.
I mean he just had a bad stretch. And with so many of the old school wrestlers that are kind of, just wandering through life, they're not really set financially and stuff like that. It's good for me to see WWE taking care of the people that made them. So I thought that was interesting, and I hope it goes well. And that might actually be an episode that I watch because usually when they have an old school guy like that come on, they have more than one. So
I keep saying I need to get back into watching wrestling, and then I watch like an episode of it, like Raw.
Nope, can't.
Yeah. But I've seen John Cena's hair. Have you seen John Cena's hair?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like my hair.
Yeah,
it's really weird seeing it.
It's very weird.
It's like borderline disturbing.
I was I guess everything I see is at the gym now, but at the gym they play like this thing that has like the latest movies coming out, and he was like doing a thing for the new Bumblebee movie, and I had to like do a double take because I didn't even really recognize.
I heard that was pretty good. I haven't been to the movies in a while.
Kind of transformed out.
Yeah.
So.
That last one was really bad.
I haven't
it was
watched
boring.
it.
It was like 3 hours long too.
That's the one with Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think we're gonna have to switch things up a little bit. We're a little bit behind our schedule, so we'll talk a little bit of UFC 232, Floyd Mayweather, and maybe like a touch of NBA to kind of end it. But we're going to actually call our friend Jerry Tyrrell, and we're going to talk a little bit about NFL and the playoffs are this weekend. So we'll actually call him, get his picks, and once we hang up with him, David and I will discuss it.
Yeah.
So
we're just gonna do the wild card this week because last year we messed up and
it was quite the mess up.
If anybody watched last year, it was
So we're gonna call him. It's the first time that we've tried this, so we'll hopefully have it work out well, and hopefully he's anxiously awaiting our phone call.
Hello.
Hey, Sugar.
What's going on, my man?
You are live on the podcast.
Awesome.
We prefaced it by saying that we're calling you and we're only talking about the wild card weekend because we screwed up so bad last year.
Oh, man, it was bad, wasn't it?
And so the floor is yours. Whichever matchup you want to talk about first. I know chronologically the Indy versus Houston matchup is the first one on Saturday, so I don't know if you want to start there or what.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll go chronologically by the time that they actually air.
Yeah, let's not do seeds because we.
Yeah, because we'll totally mess that up.
Yeah. So who you got?
Yeah. I think that Houston's favored in this one, but I got to lean experience. I got to lean experience on this one, going with Andrew Luck. I think he's excited. He's going to play. He's going to come out firing, and I just don't think Houston's going to stop him.
Obviously we didn't get to do a fantasy one this year or have any other conversations about it, but you and I have had lots of conversations about it. And it's interesting that that's your perspective, because at one point in time you kind of thought that it might be the end for Luck, right?
Yeah, at one point, absolutely. But I just don't think that Watson, while he is a spectacular player, I just don't think that I just don't think that he's going to win out today or Saturday.
So you think the difference will be purely offensive? I know the Colts defense has played really well. They've got their rookie standout linebacker, and they've obviously stepped up big on the defensive end. Do you think that's what will be the difference, or do you think it'll be Houston's kind of lack of scoring? Because that's, to me, I look at them all year long, and I'm kind of perplexed at how they got to 11 wins with, kind of lower scoring.
Well, Houston and Indianapolis have played twice this year.
Correct.
And the first time it took overtime for Houston to beat the Colts, and then the Colts just a few weeks ago beat them by a field goal. So I think that their experience with each other, I just think that the Colts are going to win out.
Yeah.
I don't think that the Houston defense is going to be able to stop Luck, and with the emergence of Marlon Mack, that Luck-Ty connection, just don't think it's going to be able to be stopped.
I found it interesting that they kind of they traded wins on the away field. So Houston came into Indy and won, and then Indy went down to Houston and won.
That's a good point.
That was interesting.
That's a good point. So now we're back in Houston.
Yep.
And historically, the home team is about 68% historically coming out to be the victor.
Bringing the facts.
Yeah, I'm telling you. But I think that I'm going to buck the trend on this one. Houston is favored to win.
Not by much, though. It's like 1.5 or something, right?
You're absolutely right. Yeah, it's pretty close. The Texans have a 65% chance of winning. So yeah, it's actually pretty substantial.
Wow, 65%.
65%, absolutely. Yep.
Did you have anything to add about that game, David?
With it, Deshaun Watson, he hasn't lost by more than one score since he was in high school.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Did you know that, Jerry?
Is that right? No, that is an interesting fact. That's actually a pretty awesome fact.
But I mean, he's playing healthy. He's playing good. One of the best deep ball throwers like I've seen. Like his arm, he's got a cannon arm. But I mean,
Yes.
I still think that the Colts. I mean, Marlon Mack, like you were saying, I think you're absolutely right about the Colts winning though.
I'm not making my predictions until after we hang out. But there's a bunch.
No, you're not making your predictions?
I can. I guess we can go ahead and get them out of the way.
Yeah, I want to hear.
Okay, I didn't think that you would be. I didn't think you'd want to talk to us this long, but that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that Indy's going to win. And it might even be a double-digit game. It might be the first double-digit loss of his career. I think that the Colts defense is playing really well. I'm not at all impressed with Houston's offense, despite the fact that DeAndre Hopkins dropped 0 balls this year, which is another.
That was an amazing stat. I've seen that.
And props to him for paying for that little girl's funeral too. Just like to throw that in there.
That's pretty nice.
Really, really cool stuff coming out of him for the week, which is awesome that he's getting a lot of the highlight, because I think he's missed a lot of that playing in Houston and kind of dealing with so many different quarterbacks and stuff. But I think the Colts are just playing too well. I think that they'll have a really good game plan, seeing them twice this year. I think that they can run the ball and throw the ball down the field. And Ty owns Houston. He's always played well there. I think he had almost 200 yards receiving last time they played. And I just can't see a way that the Colts lose the game personally.
Well, and Andrew Luck is 3-3 in the playoffs, and when he come out of college, I mean, he was going to be the next coming of Joe Montana. Like, this is his year to take that franchise a step forward.
And especially after they kind of wrote him off. So many people wrote him off all year long. And, you know, I took him way early in fantasy, but there's a reason for that.
Way too early.
Well, actually, I think that the record would show otherwise, as I started out 0-3 and then won 12 straight and have a championship on the back of Andrew Luck, sir.
Kudos to you, absolutely. Hey, I own stock in him in Dynasty, so
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
not going to argue with you there.
So, I believe the next matchup is Dallas and Seattle. Is that right?
Yeah, 8 o'clock game
Yep.
at Dallas.
What are you
Dallas
thinking
is
about
the
that
home
one?
team. Well, I'm going to go against experience on this one. I think the Dallas defense is going to overcome their offensive woes, and not necessarily their offensive woes, but they just haven't really clicked 100% consistently on offense. But that defense is something fierce, and I just don't think Seattle's got the weapons anymore to be able to penetrate their defense.
What do you think about that, Dave?
Dude, I love Van Der Esch. Like, I love the Cowboys defense. It's fun to watch.
Yes.
But the Seahawks, they're like quietly on offense. Like, I don't know, Russell Wilson's throwing the ball downfield more now. He's got Chris Carson too.
He's had
I
5
mean, Chris
touchdowns
Carson.
in the last month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Chris Carson, man, I don't know if the Cowboys are gonna be able to stop him. I'd almost go with the Seahawks, but that one's even closer to me.
You almost would, or you would?
Yeah, I mean, I would.
Yeah,
I will.
yeah.
I'll go with the Seahawks.
So for me, I remember back to Dallas and Seattle in the playoffs during the Romo days, and Romo fumbling that kickoff or the field goal attempt, and then trying to run it in. And so honestly, I thought maybe Seattle just had Dallas's number. Kind of looking back and thinking about that game though, and looking at the current state of both of them. Seattle played all of their starters, and they had a really difficult time beating the Cardinals this last weekend or weekend before last
A
week.
3-13 team, yes.
Yeah, and so I think they beat them by a field goal, and Dallas was really tested by the Giants, who
Yeah,
kind
Giants
of
beat them.
did the Giants beat them?
Yeah.
No.
Wait,
I
they
think
beat the
Dallas,
Giants?
I think Dallas came back and won.
I thought.
Dallas won on a last-second
Okay.
touchdown to Cole Beasley,
Yeah,
where he got his knee down in the back of the end zone.
You're
It was
right.
a pretty amazing throw. It was a scramble by Dak and a heave, but the Giants defender gave up on that play, so they barely eked that one out.
That was all the second half too. That the Giants, just blew up on them just second half. I think it was like a blowout before then.
but Dak threw for like 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, and that was out without Ezekiel Elliott. And the Cowboys really are not deep at running back, so they really didn't have much of a running game at all. So, and kind of looking at and thinking about it all day to day, I actually had Seattle early this morning, but I've changed my mind. I'm going to pick Dallas in that game. I think that being at home is going to give them a little bit of a
slight edge,
and it's probably going to be come down to a field goal, because I think that the Seahawks defense has rapidly improved. Like he said, the Seattle's offense with Doug Baldwin and everything has kind of started kicking on a little bit, a couple more cylinders. I won't say all cylinders, but a couple more.
Right.
Chris Carson I think he was the ground player of the month. He had like 500 or 600 yards and then the 5 touchdowns. So having him healthy has obviously helped them out a lot. But I just think that Dallas is they kind of turned the corner. They got beat really bad in Tennessee. They've had some really good victories against the Saints and stuff like that. And I feel like that they're going to edge this one out personally.
They looked very good against the Saints that game.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like the top of their potential, but I think the Saints defense has the ability to do that a lot.
Yeah.
So, all right. So going to Sunday, the first game is the Chargers and the Ravens. Is that right?
Ravens. That is right. Who you got? You go first. Who you got in this
I'll go first. I've watched the Ravens a couple times. I have not watched the Chargers all year, but caught highlights and stuff. Really impressed with how well the Chargers team has played, as well as Phillip Rivers. I love seeing him play well. I really want to see him win the playoffs, and I can't figure out the Ravens team is a team that I can't really figure out. They don't do anything great offensively. They always are famous for having the tough defenses, and obviously that's the case again. and they even went into the Chargers and beat or went into LA and beat the Chargers rather easily. But for whatever reason, I'm leaning towards the Chargers. I think it's hard to beat a team twice, especially when you have a veteran like Phillip Rivers leading your team. I feel like he's hungry for a playoff run, and he hasn't had one in a very long time. And is Gordon playing this weekend?
Gordon is playing. He is healthy, yes.
Okay, and he did not play in the last game. Is that correct, or am I wrong about that?
I think that he did play in the last game. He's been healthy for a couple weeks.
Well, let's just act like you didn't, because he was rather unhealthy. So, but I just for whatever reason, it's just a gut pick. I am not a fan of the Ravens. Never have been. I think having a guy like Lamar Jackson run the ball so much is really good. It's a really good formula to get him hurt, and it's hard. It'll be hard to watch Flacco over there with all the playoffs experience and Super Bowl win on the bench while Lamar plays. It'll be interesting to see how that all pans out. But I feel like all conventional wisdom should say the Ravens, but I'm going with the Chargers.
I think I agree with you as far as the conventional wisdom saying that the Ravens are going to pull this one out, and it's actually pretty much a toss-up. The Chargers are favored by 52%. So it's a 52-48 split. So it's pretty much a coin toss.
What does Vegas say?
Right there.
Do you have that one?
I don't have that one.
Caught you slipping. Caught you slipping.
So I don't know it either. I thought the spread was a little bit more than the Colts and Texans, so I was surprised by it.
I would say that you're probably right. I'd say it's probably somewhere around 3. But go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's quite all right. I kind of lost my train of thought there, but no, I lean to Chargers as well because I think they have a more complete team. With Gordon being healthy, the emergence of Mike Williams or the flash in the pan that he has been. I just don't know what to make of the Ravens and with Lamar Jackson. He's gotten more rushing attempts than any quarterback in the history of the NFL, and he started like week 7. So it's like they are a run-first team, and he's the first option to run. So, and I just don't think that's sustainable. That has gotten them a few wins over the last few games, but I just don't think that's sustainable in a playoff atmosphere.
I agree with that.
I think that the Chargers are going to come out on top on this one.
What do you think, Dave?
Well, I think about it. Last week I said the Browns were going to beat the Ravens because Lamar Jackson just can't come in and play the exact same football every week and not get beat. But, I mean, of course, Ravens won. But
came down the last play, though.
Yeah. But Chargers are a lot better, team than the Browns. Chargers are not going to be, let this rookie quarterback's only played 8 games run for 200 yards on them.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. And then I'm not sure if he can throw in the NFL yet. So, I mean, I'm going to go just based on offense. I'm going to go with the Chargers.
Is it weird to say that if situations were different and Flacco was playing, that I would probably pick the Ravens? Is that weird?
Yeah.
No, it's not weird because I mean that like you said, he's got experience. He's been there. He's won a Super Bowl. And Lamar Jackson, when they say he was the youngest person to win a Heisman, and he's also going to be the youngest person to ever start an NFL playoff game. So at 21 years old. Okay. So there's a lot of experience on the Chargers side. Phillip Rivers has been there. He's got I think he's got a losing record in the playoffs. I think he's 5-4 in the playoffs all time. But I still think they win out.
Yeah, and there should be an asterisk beside that because he had to play Peyton Manning and Tom Brady all the time, and that's the reason he has a losing record. So, yeah.
Right.
So, do you have any last thoughts on that one, Mr. Tyrrell? I'll give you the.
No. I just like I said, I just lean the Chargers. Another going against the grain on the home team, picking the away team there.
So, what about your Eagles versus the Bears?
I think this was the toughest matchup of all to call, in my opinion, and that might be just because I'm a homer for the Eagles. But
just because you got a Nick Foles poster and you're wearing a Nick Foles jersey right now, I mean.
Well, I mean, we do have our Super Bowl winning quarterback back, so and he has the last 3 games he's beat the Rams and the Texans. So, I mean, that says something. He's Wentz went down in week 15. And he's been there 16, 17, and 18, and he's 3-0. So, I mean, let's keep the magic going. Let's go with the Eagles over the Bears. Another road team.
Dang, you're living dangerously. What about you, David?
I'm telling you.
I think this is like the easiest pick. I'd say the Bears, just because Nick Foles last year, he had like a little bit easier path in the playoffs. Then wasn't a away team in playoff or wild card weekend. Mitch Trubisky's not as good a quarterback as Nick Foles. I don't think. He's had some pretty big games,
right.
though.
Yeah,
but the Bears, I don't know. There's something about the Bears. I didn't think that they were very good. I didn't believe the hype to watch them beat the Packers again. Then I don't know. I'm going to say the Bears.
Well, David, you say that you said that he had an easy path to the playoffs last year. He actually helped them win that division.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
But he had an easier path last year than he does this year, so I'm saying.
True that. Yeah, I agree. The Bears' defense is probably more fearsome than the Cowboys' defense. But the question here is that can the Bears put pressure on Foles so that he can't throw that deep ball to Jeffries? I think that's going to be the key to the game.
I think they'll be able to do that.
I'm betting they don't.
So the way I look at it, it's kind of a agree-disagree thing. I actually think the matchup's kind of similar because they had to go to Minnesota last year, right? Is that the first game that they played? Help me.
No, they were at home.
Oh.
They were at home last year.
Philadelphia was at home?
Yeah, the bye.
Yeah, they won the division. They beat the Falcons. They had a first-round bye, so they beat the Falcons at home and beat the Vikings at home, and then went on to beat Patriots.
Well, see, I thought that the Vikings would be where they tripped up last year, and I think that it's kind of similar because the Vikings had that supposedly overpowering defense last year, and then they had a pretty decent offense. So I think it's kind of similar to that matchup last year. Although I don't think Philadelphia is as good of a team this year. I don't really think that they have a solid rushing attack, and I think that you really have to have something going on running the ball to win in the playoffs. And I think that the Bears' defense is just too stifling. I think that they've proven themselves, time after time this year. You just look at the dismantling of the Rams when they went to L.A., and I just think that the Bears' defense is just going to be a little bit too much. Although I don't know how I could ever bet against Foles if he wins. I think he's got like a rib penetrating his lung right now. He's probably going to have to wear a bulletproof vest to complete the game, and if he's able to pull that off against the Bears defense, then it would be really saying something about him and the team.
Yes.
The resilient spirit of Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah.
But I would have to lean towards that being the easiest pick for me as well. I just don't think that Philadelphia has the magic this year, and I think the Bears do. I don't know how deep it'll carry them. I think just a first round win at all after kind of where they've been at the last couple of years would be pretty magical. But that's kind of where I'm at with it.
If Chicago was playing anybody else but Philadelphia, I'd probably be right there with you. But I think that's my homer in me that's leaning towards the Eagles.
There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I'm the same way with the Colts.
Not at all.
So,
it bit me in the rear end last year when I went against them, and they won.
Yeah,
so.
You learned your lesson. So now we'll all take advantage of that this year by picking the Bears. And
if Nick Foles wins the Super Bowl this year, do you all think he should be a Hall of Fame quarterback as a backup quarterback?
I think
if he wins the Super Bowl this year, I'm not even sure if he's still going to have a starting job when Wentz comes back next year.
That's what I was going to say. I think a better question would be not the Hall of Fame, but do you think that who's going to start, Wentz or Foles? That's the $1 million question. So, but hopefully the city of Philadelphia doesn't have to worry about that. I think that would almost be more troubling. I don't know if it would be worth the Super Bowl to have to deal with that issue. So.
I think it would be.
I think
it absolutely would be. Have a back-to-back Lombardi Trophy to hang over all those Cowboys fans. Oh, I would love it.
Well, I'll give you the final word again, sir. Do you have anything else to add about this weekend?
No, not at all. Like I said, I'm just going against the grain on I'm picking three away teams, one home team. We'll see how it all pans out.
I split it. I went 2 away and 2 home. So I think that's a pretty good balance and probably pretty close to the percentages. We'll actually be beating them a little bit, and you'll be going the other way if you're correct on all of yours.
It was 2 away, 2 home last year, so you might be right again this year.
We'll see. I wasn't right last year at all. We didn't even get the seeding right, so
that was terrible.
All right. Well, I appreciate the phone call, Mr. Tyrrell, and hopefully we'll get to do this again this week, and somebody will get to bask in their glory of all their winning picks. So,
yeah, hopefully that one wouldn't be me.
All right, man. Until the next time.
See you guys.
See you, buddy.
See ya.
So, do you have any other thoughts about that, David, or do you think we kind of covered it pretty well?
Covered it pretty well. I think the Eagles winning is kind of a pipe dream, but I mean, I saw that last year too, though.
Yeah, I know. I thought it was last year for sure. I mean, I thought that the Falcons really had something to prove in the opening round. Now that I think back on it, even though I couldn't even think of who they played, but I definitely didn't think that they'd get past Minnesota, especially not after Minnesota's miraculous win.
Yeah, coming off that huge win,
Yeah,
that was like one of the best football games of all time.
Yeah, I just didn't think there was any way that would happen, but it did. So. Before we move into like the combat sports, which is my favorite thing to talk about, I just want to put a touch of NBA here. We've talked about Philadelphia many times, and I told you I thought they were kind of a homegrown, super team. And then I think that's kind of been interrupted now with trade for Jimmy Butler. I saw a headline today that said that he's causing problems with the coach now, kind of about his offense and his role in the offense. Do you think that it's that easy just to throw off chemistry, bring in one person, and change everything?
Not if you want to win this year, but Jimmy Butler's a guy that he's a really smart guy. Like he would definitely be able to help them out. I mean, maybe come playoff time.
But do you think his personality conflicts with that?
No, because he never had a problem with it till he was at this
Minnesota.
year. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that sometimes guys buy into their own hype, and that might be what's going on right now. And he may have came in and thought it was going to be his team, but I think the team still runs through Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. So
I think he definitely has a overinflated sense of self. But that story I talk about when he takes like the bench players and beats the starters, like at that before he left Milwaukee at that practice game. I think he only shot the ball like once or twice, and he like beat up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, he's a smart guy. Like he's a good general on the floor.
And I think it goes to I guess to show where we are in sign of times, because Jordan did that stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And Jordan was a hero, and everybody followed him. But now nobody wants any of that. Nobody wants to have somebody tell them what to do or to be a leader. They all want their own little roles and their own little egos.
I think that's what's happened with the Warriors. They don't really have a clear floor general like that.
I think the Warriors are so talented it doesn't matter though.
And they lost last night.
I don't think it means anything.
I mean, they've lost more this year than
I think they're bored.
Yeah, I mean, probably. Wait till Cousins, they're going to jail.
That's crazy.
They're eventually going to come together pretty well. But Houston's just now coming together really well, too. And
Without
James
Chris
Harden.
Paul, which is interesting.
Yeah, James Harden. I don't know how he gets better. Like, every year, like, there's some, like, little improvement to his game.
It's like volume.
Yeah.
So, but it's not like he's a volume guy, and so many of his points come off free throws. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree with that, because if you watch a Rockets game, it's kind of hard to watch because all of the flopping, and I've talked about that several times.
It's kind of like the LA games with all the flopping with LeBron, but the difference is he can't hit free throws.
Yeah.
So that's the reason that Harden's so good this year. He hits his free throws, he makes his open shots, he makes clutch shots. But I don't think that there's a formula in Houston to win a championship. I do not believe that whatsoever. I think they're absolutely a pretender.
Never know. I remember us talking. You're more optimistic than I was about the Warriors not being able to win. So anything can happen. But now watching them play, I mean, Houston's outplayed them several times, or not several times, but outplayed them this year. There's been a lot of teams outplay them this year. But going back to that, the Thunder really are coming together. Have you watched any? Paul George is getting better too.
Yeah, I'm so glad to see them together.
Yeah.
I love loyalty. I love him staying there. I just don't know that they have the pieces offensively to win. They're one of the best defensive teams in the NBA, but they really just don't have a lot of the offense needed to beat like a team like the Warriors or a team like the Rockets. They just can't seem to put it together. I feel like before the trade deadline, they might try to make
just a shooter, just come off the bench.
Well, they tried
anything like that.
Carmelo.
They tried that with a lot of guys, and it hasn't worked out.
And I think that their two guard has been a mystery in Oklahoma City. It was before Donovan even got there. They've just never had a solid two guard to play well, and it's the most of the time their two guards are just defensive only. And I feel like you have to have every player on the court almost be, a two-way player. And they just have too many guys that are not like that. Jeremy Grant and Steven Adams, they're really more defensive, known for their defensive prowess. And that was the reason that Cantor kind of fit in so well there.
Yeah, and then they have a coach that's, defensive-minded coach, really good defensive coach.
I just don't know if it translates to the modern NBA.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm hopeful.
I don't know if they can win the. It's gonna be hard to see if they can actually win a series this year, though. That's what I think.
They're still hanging around the 4 or 5 seed right now. The Lakers are falling out towards the bottom. Houston's moving up.
Yeah, Houston wasn't even in the picture like 2 weeks ago. Now they're like number 2, I think.
Life comes
2
at
or
you
3,
fast. Yeah. But all the teams, you look at as of right now, all the NBA standings in both conferences, it's all really tight. Nobody's really separated themselves too much this year. The Raptors had a really good run, and that's a really good transition because I wanted to talk to you about if you saw that Kawhi went back to San Antonio last night, and he just really did not play that.
I didn't get to watch the game. I saw the highlights, so.
I think that's kind of encompasses what's always kind of been the problem with him. He disappears at times, especially in big times. And I know it was emotional for him to come back to San Antonio and all that blah, blah, blah. But, you look at DeRozan, who was traded there. He really felt betrayed by Toronto, and he just went hard.
Yeah, triple-double last
night. First triple-double of his career. Danny Green did not – I don't think Danny Green had a point. So he's come back to San Antonio too. He did not play well. And I don't know, maybe it has something to do with injuries on the Raptors. I know that they've had a lot of people in their front court been in and out, but, nobody's separating themselves. It's really hard to pick anything right now. So.
Which is why I think I would still bet on the Celtics just because they're
oh, yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I mean, who knows? I mean, because like you were saying earlier, talking about the Sixers. Sixers are really good. They're going to get better. The Celtics are going to get better. The Raptors, I don't know if they've peaked or not. I mean,
they seem to choke every year. Yeah. It's hard to buy into them. But I think that it's just a foregone conclusion that without some type of injury to the Warriors, I don't see any way that
Anthony Davis going to the Lakers.
No, it's not going to change anything.
I mean, I think I'd be. I don't know.
I mean, what are the Lakers going to have to do as far as their roster to be able to
get Anthony Davis?
Get him.
I know. Who are they going to get rid of?
And so you bring him in. Who do you going to have to get rid of, and what role do they play? Because I think that right now that they're probably right there on the edge of the playoffs or maybe in the playoffs. LeBron can only carry you so far when that team. I mean, his team right now isn't as good as the Cavaliers were last year. So, I mean, not by a long shot. So, I just don't understand why people think that LA can compete.
I don't know. I think his team, it could be close to the Cavs team last year. Really, I mean, Cavs team last year didn't have any. Yeah, I don't know.
I think that people really undervalue Kevin Love. I mean, Kevin Love before he went to the Cavs was a 20-20 guy every night. He had a bunch of big playoff performances last year. And, I don't really see anybody that kind of sticks above like that for the Lakers right now. They've got guys that, one guy will perform this night and another guy, and, they're also young. I think that they have Rondo and then poor man's Rondo and Lonzo Ball. I mean, it's just, it's like, what do you do? I don't know how that
Ingram isn't coming along like they thought, like I thought.
He's no Kevin Durant.
No.
Yeah, so I just don't see it.
He's not getting bigger either. Like I figured he would be growing into himself.
You think that LeBron would give him some of those roids whenever he got in the NBA, but apparently not. So.
I did love when he walked in and he had this wine glass.
Dude, if it was anybody else, they would have been crucified for that stuff. But he gets away with everything. They're like, oh, it's just LeBron being LeBron.
I think there was more LeBron haters than any haters, though. So
I've been there since day one.
Yeah.
Since they.
I've came around.
I came around when he wrote the letter, but obviously it was just in the moment. He was saying what people wanted to say because he had no loyalty towards Cleveland whatsoever. So if he did, we wouldn't be where we were. So, did you get to see any of the Floyd Mayweather debacle?
No, I didn't even know it happened. Like there was like no advertisements for. I saw like a Facebook video of it. I guess like it was like ESPN posted something like an hour after. It was like, and that's how I saw it. It was like the end clip that ESPN showed.
It was just a sham, man. It was ridiculous. Somebody brought up the fact that he had all the rules before he fought Conor McGregor about the material of the gloves, the weight of the gloves, the origin of the gloves, what rules they were going to be allowed to do as far as if he got hung on or anything. And you take an undefeated kickboxer, he has no rules. He pretty much didn't train. He kind of looked like he just got off the plane eating a Whopper. He goes in the ring and throws some hard punches, maybe. I don't know. It was hard. I watched it a bunch of times. A lot of fighters said it's absolutely fake. A lot of people said it's legit. I had a hard time distinguishing.
Was it on pay-per-view or something? Or?
I don't know what it was.
I don't think it
was on Ryzen, which is the thing that kind of replaced
Yeah.
Pride in Japan. But I just followed the feed, until I went to sleep. And the next morning when I woke up, I refreshed it and saw that he had beat him in the first round. It was like only supposed to be like 3-minute rounds or something like that. And he was going to make $9 million. And I don't know. The part that got me the most, the punches kind of looked legit. I couldn't really tell. But the part that got me the most was after the fight, he was holding up the other Tension's arm, and he was going like this still. And I was like, oh, seen that in wrestling. So a little too WWE for me. So I don't know. I just don't buy it. I think there's a reason he's not doing legit fights in America, especially with like people that could actually challenge him. I think it was just a show, and Japanese fans love the show, so hopefully they got one. I think we're actually running out of time on our SD card, but wanted to touch on the UFC 232 recap, and we watched it together. I was absolutely floored and shocked that Cyborg got knocked out as quickly as she did. Wasn't really floored or shocked by John Jones' performance. Absolutely dislike LeBron and John Jones on the same level, but actually John Jones may be a step ahead of that because he's an established cheater and a really bad person on top of it. So don't have any love for him whatsoever. Not shocked by it. Disappointed in Alexander Gustafsson's performance, especially with all the talk and all the hype leading into the fight. So what did you think about all of it? You've watched probably more fights than you ever have in your life here lately. I thought it was a pretty decent card, but I'm so invested in it emotionally. Sometimes it's hard for me to enjoy that stuff.
I mean, yeah, it was a decent card. Yeah, it wasn't bad. But the Cyborg Nunes fight was definitely the best.
Crazy.
Because they came out, I think that she was trying to bait it, trying to scare her, like she was going to swing at her, and then Nunes kept on. And that's like they're throwing haymakers at each other, and it was awesome.
I think Cyborg just thought she was going to walk through the punches, and that's definitely what she acted like, but she was just way too wild, and almost every punch that Nunes threw landed perfectly. I mean, and eventually knocked her out, which I didn't know was possible.
Yeah, so. It was great. That was a pretty cool moment of the night. But,
so what about the Jones fight? Did you have any takeaways from that? Did you expect it?
Yeah, I expected Jones to win, but I mean, he's probably on all kinds of stuff that are undetectable too.
I guess we'll never know.
But afterwards, he said he wanted to fight Cormier again. We're talking about that.
But now
everybody was all disappointed. You all were all disappointed.
He's now negotiating to fight Smith for the 205 title again. So I don't know if Cormier is just a pipe dream, and that's kind of what I wanted to go into from there. Is what I wanted to see. To me, the 205-pound division is a pretty dead division now. With Cormier moving on, him beating Gus, he's beat everybody else. You got some kind of up-and-coming guys right there at 2 and 3, maybe 4. Yeah. And then the rest of it's just old guys that he's already beat. So I think that UFC has their hands full. I think that they'll probably have to push him to go to heavyweight here soon. But I definitely didn't want to see Cormier Jones 3 because I don't know if I can watch Cormier lose to him again. I think Cormier's a good person.
Yeah.
And I think he's a clean fighter. He obviously hasn't had the legal issues. And I really like to see him go out on top. Problem is that they're saying that he's probably going to fight Brock, and I'm a giant Brock fan, so I'm kind of tore about that. So
yeah,
But I think that's definitely the money fight. I think Brock versus Cormier would make way more money because, every time that Cormier and Jones have stepped into the ring, there's been some type of sanction after it.
Yeah, something's come up. Whatever. That's why
even
we
before
want to do
the fight.
it third. But I mean, don't want to cover the same real estate again. I understand what you're saying.
To me, like I said on the fight night, sure, I would watch it again, but I would have to know that Cormier won, and then I would watch it again because I can't stand to sit through that again and watch Jones win again. So, well, you have any last thoughts?
No last thoughts. I think we covered it all.
Well, hopefully you guys have enjoyed the new format. We're going to try to continue this. Like I said, we'll do a live one next week. And we're going to stream this on SoundCloud as well. So we appreciate your all's continued support. You can always find us on social media, on Instagram and Facebook. And it's very important that people go and like our YouTube page, subscribe to it, and give us a thumbs up or like, or even if you don't like it, I don't care, as long as you watch it. And if you don't like it, put a comment in there and we'll try to change it. We're going to continue to do some guests here and there. Continue to try to shift and evolve our format, especially if we get feedback, which we both got feedback, on things that we need to do or want to do, and we're going to continue to try to make those changes to give everybody what they want.
Whoever shares the most too, I was hearing that Mike Fishman was going to give away a car.
It might be a Matchbox, but he'll give away a car. But we really appreciate you guys tuning in, and I guess this week we're going to change it up. You're not going to get up. I'm going to get up and stop it, and we'll see you guys the next week. And we're going to do a YouTube live video, and maybe make some changes that we get on suggestions, and hopefully have some continued playoffs and good headlines for next week. So, all right, we'll see you guys the next time.